Hello all, welcome to Autobot YouTube channel. Today we are going to familiarize with the UiPath Studio. So in the first video regarding the UiPath, I have described about this home window from where you can create the project and about the other details like how we can set the settings and what's the usage of template and all. So all those things that we covered in the first video. So if there is any confusion regarding the home page, just mention that in the comment box. Okay, so now we are going to deep dive into the design and debug form. That is the key elements of the UiPath Studio. Okay, so here I have created a project by going to home, new project process I have selected, and I created a new project over here. The name of the project is UiPath Studio Demo. Okay, so it will automatically created a main.xml file, that is a default XML file that will get generated. Okay, so if we go to design window, so this design form is basically for creating our workflows. Okay, so here in the left side you can see the project panel where you can see all the dependencies of the project that you have created. So these are the dependent activities that you have used here, and here you can see the settings, and if you're going to use some template for the automation, you can see those templates over here, and the main.xml and project.json, it will be having the project dependency details, okay, encoded to that particular file. And if you switch to the activities, these are the elements or the low-code functionalities which you can use to create your UiPath automation flows. Okay, so here you can see assign, sequence, write line, message box, like that different activities are there. So you just need to drag and drop the particular activity and you can create your own flow for doing the automation. Okay, so we can create a more workflows using UiPath. So this is just a basic overview of the UiPath Studio, because most of the people are just going through this activity and this project panel, and they will just develop some flow, but they don't know the basics of what are the functionalities that are available in UiPath and what are the different debugging procedures that you can use or utilize in the UiPath Studio. Actually, UiPath is providing a lot of functionalities for the easy debugging and for analyzing errors in your process and for making your codes much more simpler. Okay, so it's better to learn all the basic things than kickstart your automation journey. Okay, so these activities are the predefined functionalities which you can use for creating your flows. Okay, snippets is nothing but the flows that can be reusable, like here you can see ping monitor. So that is one XML file that is already provided by the UiPath itself, so you can reuse this particular automation for your in your automation source if there is a necessity. Okay, like that you can see different kinds of XML files are available or different kinds of projects are available. You can use these workflows in your project for developing or enhancing your automation flows. Okay, so that is the basics regarding these three buttons, and below to that you can see an output panel. So suppose if you are running something in your workflow, so those details will be coming in the output section. Okay, so whatever that you're executing in the designer, those things will be highlighting here. So let me do one thing. Let me drag and drop this workline activity. I'm just typing uh, execution started. Okay, and I'm going to just execute the file. So here you can see the details like execution started for file. What is the file name? main.xml, and execution started. Then in the right line we have printed execution started and the process ended in 1 second. Then find reference is nothing but wherever you are recalling the elements, that is as part of the UiPath flow, those details you can see here. Like suppose if you are creating an element and if you are referring in different points, those details will come inside the find reference. Okay, so error list is nothing but like suppose if you are executing some script and if there is any error found, those details will be coming inside the error list, like what are the errors that is happening. Okay, so breakpoint is nothing but like suppose if you're creating a complex project. Okay, let me add one more thing. I'm just adding the message box. Okay, here I am just typing message box. Okay, So here I have added two activities, right? So I'm going to add a breakpoint for this. So toggle breakpoint. So you can see a red mark is added here, right? So whenever I go to debug and execute this particular workflow, you can see this should have typed the right line, but it is waiting for the message box, right? So that is the breakpoint that we have added. So if you click on continue, then only this particular execution will continue. Like in your complex project, there can be different validations that you may be adding, right? So in order to understand where your particular script is failing, you can add this breakpoint, and you can easily monitor your workflow to identify the bugs in your workflows. So that is the purpose of output, find reference, error list, and breakpoint. So we have gone to all these things. The next thing is like suppose if your studio is already connected to Orchestrator folder that you have created in the Orchestrator. So this will show the list of environment or the folder that you have created in the Orchestrator. And if it is green, means your studio is connected to the Orchestrator. Okay. And here we can see one button which will help you to disconnect from Orchestrator. If you want to refresh the connection, you can click here, and this will show you like whether you have committed any code to the Git repository. So as of now, no, that's why it's showing like 0. And if there is any changes happen to the workflow, those things that you can see here. And UiPath Studio demo, that is the workflow that I created now, Git repository branch. Okay, so those things are here. And VB Windows Legacy, there is nothing but the language which I used is VB, that's why it's showing like this while creating the project. If I'm using C#, then it will show like a C# Windows Legacy. Okay, so that's brief about these things. And here in the design window, you can see one variable is there, and argument is there, and import is there. So there is a difference between this variable and argument. Like suppose if you are creating a flow and you're going to use a different activities, right? So in order to pass the data from one activity to another, what you can do, you can use the from one sequence or from one flow to another one. Okay, or you can mention like the data transfer between the same flow. You can use variables, right? But suppose if you in your project like same like main.xml, you are going to create one more file. Okay, if you want to pass some data from main.xml to the another file like a.xml, what you have to do, you can't pass it directly using variable. Okay, so at that time you have to create a arguments and pass the value to a particular argument. Okay, so it will help to pass the data between two different workflows. That is the purpose of arguments. Okay, as of now, yeah, here you can see I just created one argument for a demo purpose. So these are the two direction that is available. Four direction that is available: in, out, and in, out, and property. Okay, and this type that you can change to any different data type value. And import is nothing but the activities that you can use in the UiPath automation. So it will be just showing the import that has done to your projects. Okay, that's why it's showing like imported namespaces. So these are the that got imported to your current project. Okay, and here you can see toggle pan mode. So it will help to move your project to and fro and on. So that is possible using this hand. And if you want to zoom your project, you can use this one. Like currently it is in 100%, right? So if I'm setting to 10, okay, so you can see now it has changed to 100%. So that the changes that you can do here. And if you want to fit this particular window to screen, you can use this one. And here you can see one property panel. So this property panel is nothing but it will show you the relevant details regarding that particular activity. So suppose if I'm clicking on right line, it will show you the name of that particular one. So you can change this label. Okay, so if you're creating complex process, you need to label all these activities properly. That will help for the easy debugging of your project. Okay, then this will show different options which you can alter based on your need, like what is the test that you need to type in the right line activity. So those things you can pass here. Okay, so each activity will be having different property, so you have to choose activity based on your need. Okay, so near to property panel, you can see one more thing, that is right line. So right line will give you the overview of your project, or you can see the hierarchy of your project. So here we have utilized two activities, that is right line and message box, that is also inside the sequence. So this will help to show you an overview of the project that you are developing. Test explorer, this will be helpful if you are creating a test project. Okay, so in the home you may have seen, like while creating a project, there is one option called test automation. So if you're going to create a test automation, this test explorer will show you the details, like what's the test result, how many passed, how many failed out of the total test cases. All these things you can see here. Okay, then okay, I think we have covered all these points. Okay, so let's go to the design and check what are the other things. Okay, here you can see a new button. So this will help to create a different kinds of flows. Okay, so suppose if you want to add a new sequence to your current file, like currently you have added one sequence, right? So same like that, if you want to add a new sequence, you can go here and click on sequence and you need to give a name. Okay, or if you want to add a flowchart, you can use the flowchart activity. So flowchart will be using if you are creating a multiple, sorry, if in a project we have multiple decision making, and if it is complex workflow, we can use a flowchart for making the automation. Okay, then state machines, another type of a category which can help you to create your projects. So I think hope you have heard about RE framework. So that RE framework is made of this state machine. Okay, so that is one thing, and here we can see a global handler, that is again one functionality. So if you create a global handler, it will create a handler for your entire project. So you can add the exception handling inside that global handler. So whenever if an error is thrown in your other files, it will get captured in the global handler. So we can create a detailed video on this global handler because it's a main topic. Okay, and workflow is nothing but, like suppose if you want to create a new XML file, same like main.xml, you can use a workflow. Okay, then here you can see the save for saving your project. Export as template means, suppose if you want to export your project as a predefined template. Okay, so here you can see a lot of templates are there, right? So same like that, if you want to convert your project to a template, you can use this. And the debug file is nothing but, here it will give you three options. Run file means only it will execute the current file. Okay, debug means it will debug the entire project and it will show you the errors. Run means it will run the entire project. Okay, so run file and run is different. Run will execute your entire project and it will start from main. Run file is nothing but, if you want to execute only one particular SAML file, you can use the run file activity. Okay, then here you can see cut, copy, paste, undo, redo and all. Like suppose if you are making some changes and if you want to undo that changes, you can use, or redo, you can use this. Or if you want to cut and paste these activities here, you can use the cut, paste and other things. Okay, and manage package is nothing but, like suppose if you want to add a new package to your project, you can add the you can search the package. Or suppose if I want to add this particular package, means I need to click on this and click on install. Okay, here you can get the version also, which version that I want to install. Click on install and click on save button. Okay, then it will save all the activities. Save the activity that you are going to select. Project dependency will show you the list of activities that is already installed. Then manage entity is again another big topic which we can cover in another session. So manage entity is nothing but, for that we have to enable the data service in your orchestrator for the particular tenant. Okay, so for your tenant you have to enable that particular service, then only you can utilize this manage activity. So it is nothing but, you can create a schema in the orchestrator like a data table, and whatever value that you are adding in that particular schema, you can utilize in your workflow. Okay, so if you create an entity in the orchestrator, and if you are connected to orchestrator, it will show you those entities, and you have to install the entity activities. Okay, using that you can update the entity if you want to get the activity, sorry, get the data from the entity. All those things you can using the manage activity. Thing is app bar web recorder. So this is one latest recorder that is providing by the UiPath. So this is an advanced recorder which is working on a multi-technology element identification mechanism. Okay, and it will create a anchor-based flow while you are creating your automation flows. Okay, so you need to click on this particular one and you need to record the actions. Here you can see it will start the automation, and it will ask to indicate an element to auto detect the action. Okay, so that is the purpose of this. I'm not going to record anything. So web recorder, it will help to easily automate your workflow instead of doing these activities. Okay, you can create the flow using the predefined activity, or you can record also. Okay, and computer vision is again another recorder. So like suppose if you want to automate a citrix where you can inspect on any of the element, this computer vision will help to get all the elements inside that particular screen using a neural network technology. Okay, so for that you have to get the API from the orchestrator, and you need to enable it in the studio, then only you can use the computer vision. Okay, so whenever if you indicate on a screen, it will automatically identify the particular screen, and it will identify all the elements inside that screen using a advanced technology. Okay, so that's how you can automate your VDIs and all. And user event is nothing but, like suppose if you want to trigger some action based on some user event. Okay, for example, let me add this monitor keyboard. I'm going to give okay, I'm going to select it down. Okay, so if you add that particular activity, it will show you one trigger and an action. Okay, so trigger, once you click on the down arrow, it should action something. Okay, so action is currently null. I haven't added anything. So what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to I'm going to remove that breakpoint. Okay, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to cut and paste this particular message box inside the action. Okay, and wait, is okay, just paste it, save, run file. Okay, so it will start the execution, and in the input line, you can output line, you can see execution started, and it is waiting for the our trigger. Okay, so whenever if I click on the down arrow in my keyboard, it will generate an action. So let me click on down arrow. Okay, now you can see it performed the action inside that activity. Okay, that's how it will work. And if you click on down arrow, it will again generate the message box. Okay, so I'm going to stop this particular thing. Like that, you can use a different triggers. Like suppose if you're going to click on some particular element, just to do some action. Okay, and the monitor mouse, you can do on click image, like that. Different options are available. Okay, so another feature is a table abstraction. Like suppose if you want to automate some web page. Okay, so inside that web page, you have a table and you want to get all the data from that table. You can use this particular activity, table abstraction. So if you inspect on top of that particular table, it will automatically recognize it as a table, and it will extract that particular table to a data table data type. Okay, so you can use that data table for processing those data from the data table. So that is one benefit. So that is one feature from UiPath. It can automatically detect the type of element inside the web page. Okay, so it can easily identify it as a table, and it can extract the data. Okay, another thing is UI Explorer. So UI Explorer is nothing but it's a tool that is provided by UiPath. So it will help to create your identifiers, right? Like suppose if I want to click on one button in an application, I need to find the identifier for that particular button, right? That's how UiPath is working. So using this UI Explorer, you can indicate on a particular screen and you can get the selectors. Okay, so let me show you something. Okay, so I'm going to indicate on an element. Okay, I just clicked on that Google. Now you can see it has scrapped all the data related to that particular screen. Okay, and it generated a XPath for you. Okay, and it's showing like a validate. So validate means this is a good identifier which you can use for your automation script. And if you want to add some more identifier or feature to this element, means you can select from here and you can click on validate to check the validation status. Okay, also if you click on highlight, it will highlight that particular element in the web page. It's not only for web page, for the application that you're going to inspect. Okay, so that's a purpose of a So that's the purpose of this UI Explorer. So this is a good tool which you can utilize for identifying the best identifier for the automation. Okay, so we already covered a video for creating the dynamic selectors using dynamic variables and wildcards. So just go through that video also. So currently you can see the UI Explorer has created an identifier, but there can be some fixed values like IDX and all. So you can pass some value to this IDX to make it dynamic. Also here you can see indicator anchor. So this is nothing but it's totally for the anchor based activity. So if I want to click on this particular line, okay, using translate as the anchor means I need to first indicate this as the anchor, and I need to use the click activity for clicking on this or get activity for getting this data. Okay, that is the purpose of anchor. Okay, for creating the anchor also you can use this UI Explorer. So this is a powerful tool which you can utilize for your automation. Okay, so I'm just closing this. So this is done, and remove used, so unused. So this is nothing but like in your project you may be creating different variables or arguments or workflows in your process, right? But you may not be using all these values in your project. Okay, so in order to clean your workflow, what you can do is you can go to remove unused and you can remove the unnecessary details from your project. Okay, suppose in this project I created one argument called data, but I haven't used this particular data argument. So I'm going to click on arguments. Okay, so it is searching for all the unused argument. Clicked on OK. Okay, it has removed that particular argument from the project, because it will help to resolve the confusion in your project, and it will help to make your project more clean. Okay, and again the next thing is and here you can give different options. Okay, screenshots you can remove, imports you can remove, dependencies you can remove, workflows you can remove. Like that there is multiple options which will help you to clean your project. Another thing is analyze a project. So analyze project will help to identify if there is any error in your project. Okay, suppose if you want to validate only one file like a main.xml, you can use validate file. Or if we want to use validate project for checking all the validation errors in your project, you can use a validate project. Next thing is a test manager. This is again it will help for the testing automation. So that is not we are going to cover now. Export Excel is nothing but suppose if you want to convert this a SAML file to a Excel file. Okay, for your review you can give export Excel, so it will convert this particular workflow to a Excel file. In that it will show the comments and you can see the flow, like how the flow is happening inside the workflow. Publish is nothing but to publish the project to the orchestrator. So this part we have covered in a orchestrator jobs video. Okay, so you can refer to the playlist at UiPath. And debug is the next option. So here also you can see the debug file. It will help to run your file, debug the project, and run the entire project. And if you want to stop the execution, you can use the stop activity. And here you can see three options: the step into, step over, and step out. So step into is nothing but if you use this step into, like I'm just going to click on this. Okay, so currently it has stepped into the sequence. Okay, if I click on step into again, it is going to next activity. Okay, and if I go to into step into again, it will go to the next activity. Like that way the flow will happen. But there is a difference between step into and step over. If you're going step into, if in your project, if there are multiple workflows are there, complex workflows are there, you don't need to you don't want to go to each activity inside the workflows that you called inside your main flow. Okay, at that time you can use step over. Okay, if you use step over, it won't open up the called workflow in your main experiment. Okay, it will just show whether the debugging has errored or not. But if you go to step into, it will again open up that workflow in another window, and it will go to each activity. Okay, step out is nothing but if you want to step out of some uh, step out activity. Okay, and restart is nothing but if you click on a restart, it will again restart the entire flow. Ignore means if there is an error and you don't want to consider that error, you can use ignore. Focus is nothing but if there is multiple errors in your flow. Okay, and you want to find in which activity you got the error, means just click on focus. It will show you, or it will highlight you the activity that has thrown the error. Okay, retry is nothing but to retry the flow again. Okay, or not the flow, entire flow, it will retry that particular activity where you got the error. Breakpoint we already checked now. Step slow step is nothing but it will help to change the speed of your debugging. Okay, so while you're debugging, if you want to reduce the speed of the execution, okay, you just need to click on this. You can see it is changing the speed of your debugging process. Execution trail is nothing but if you give execution trial, and if you debug your project. Okay, so here you can see the entire action is getting highlighted with the colors, right? Like green, or that things also you can see it in a red color. So where it will be helpful is like in your complex project, there can be multiple decision making, right? Maybe like some if condition. So if you enable this execution trial, you can see in which flow the execution is happening, like whether it is going to if condition or whether it is going to the else condition. So it will help for the easy debugging. And here you can see another activity called highlight element. So while you're debugging, if you give highlight element, it will highlight the particular activity with a yellow color. Okay, so that is one benefit. Log activity is nothing but it will help to log each and every activity that you're using in your project. That's the benefit of a log activity. So for that you need to click on log activity, and you can see all the details in the output panel. Continuous exception is nothing but like suppose if you want to continue your project, if even though if there is an exception in your project, you can enable this continue on exception functionality. Okay, so even though if there is an exception happened in one activity, it will ignore that exception, it will continue to the next step. Picture in picture is nothing but like in an attended mode of automation. Like suppose if you want to use your system even though your robot is running, you can use the picture in picture style, or picture in picture functionality. And remote debugging, this is nothing but like maybe you may be developing some workflow and you need to run that process in different environment, right? So due to some constraints, the process is not working in that particular machine. Okay, so in order to debug that process from your machine, what you can do is you can use the remote debugging by connecting to that particular robot, and you can check your flow. For that, you need to make a configuration to that particular device. TCP by IP method, remote machine method, or where you have to give the host name, port, password, and all, and you need to test the connection. Then only you can utilize that, or you need to test it in a unattended robot mode. There you have to provide the machine details, username, host name, and other details. Okay, so that is one method. Open log is nothing but for each execution it will be generating a log file in your system. Okay, so if you go to open log, you can see the files that is generated. Okay, so these are the files that got generated in your system. So that is the overview of all the functionalities. Did we miss something? Okay, so in the right hand side you can see one resource tab is there. So resource tab is nothing but it will help to get all the resources in that you created in the orchestrator. Like suppose if you have a queue in the orchestrator, you can see that in the resources, or if you have created a process in the orchestrator, you can see all those details in the resources panel, and you can directly use that flow in your workflow. Object repository is nothing but it will help to create the repository or a single repository for all the elements. Inside your activity, you just need to drag and drop the particular screen and you can make the automation. Okay, so that is the benefit of a object repository. So hope we have covered all the points regarding the UiPath Studio, and it is helpful for you. So just try to understand what are the elements that is available in the studio, then try to develop your flow. It will help to debug your automation process in a proper way. Okay, so that's all for today. Hope this video is clear and understanding for you. Sorry, share this video to your friends and like the video, comment your opinions. Then don't forget to subscribe our channel. So thanks for watching. Bye.